Hey people, I'm on a rant again. I'm watching on the news how California is fighting having affordable housing built in their state. And they don't want it built on water, that's for sure. Only the rich deserve that. Let's stop and think here. You bitch about the fact that there's homeless people on your streets because they can't afford the rent in the housing down there or across the nation. You bitch about it. But then when there's an ability to build affordable housing to give these homeless people a place to live, you bitch about the affordable housing being put in. What should they do? Let's line up all the homeless and those that can't afford housing and just line them up for the gas chamber? Would that make you little fucking rich fucking assholes happy? Let's just kick the people off. That way there's nothing but you rich fucking assholes left. You wonder why low-income people look at you rich people poorly. Look at your actions. Look at how you treat other people. What do you expect from the lower class people? When you give such little crap about others, so long as you can make it unaffordable for others to live in your part of town. When every part of your town is too expensive for a person with a single job. And let's just face it. It's you motherfucking rich people that making everything too expensive. You want to pay your employees the minimal amount that you can pay them. But then charge the maximum amount that you can get for your product. Making it so, and that's not just for jewelry and blah, 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 blah. That's for food. And that's for the farmers who make the food. You want to pay them the least amount that they can afford, that you can pay them, so that they can't afford to live. Those in your factory, you want to pay them the least amount so that they can't afford to pay for rent to live in the areas where your factories are. But you expect them to work every day. But you want to sell your product for the most amount you can sell it. Making record profit. And then you want to bitch about putting affordable housing into areas where you live. And then you complain about how low-income people don't like you people. We have damn good reason not to like you. You've given us damn good reason not to. You want to solve, common folk out there, you want to solve inflation? Stop buying the name brand crap that costs far too much. Fucking people out there who want to shut our country down and make it America only. China did that for a while. Look at where it got them. You know what we should be doing? We should be building our own chip factories. We should be building our own steel factories. We should be building our own electrical cars and solar panels and battery factories and research factories. We should be building it here in America. And instead of taking something that costs $1 to manufacture, to ship, to package and then ship. If it costs only $1 to manufacture, package, and ship, they want to charge you $20 for that. They get a $19 profit. Pretty good, huh? But if they took that same product and charged $3 for it and sold 20 of them, they'd get a $40 profit. But no, they want to make the biggest amount of profit off of one single thing that they possibly can. And you know, they get away with it. You know why? Because you idiot consumers are out there more concerned about the logo on the product than you are about the cost of the product. And plenty of those products out there that cost less are equally amount of durability. And in fact, in some cases, they're better. But you know, that logo means something to you. You don't think part of the reason why that logo means something is because at first they did use better quality materials, but once that logo caught on so strongly that everybody had to have it, they cut back and started using substandard materials so they could make a bigger profit. You people drive me nuts. You complain about the homeless. You then complain about the people not being, about putting in affordable housing. You then don't pay your workers enough to be able to afford the rent in other houses. And you charge so much for your products that nobody can afford them. You know, even if they did march every poor person that can't afford the rent to a gas chamber and kill them off, you know, the economic picture would change. You know why? Because then those on the lower side of the rich would become the poor. And those in the middle of the rich bunch will become the middle class. So if you don't want to pay your people enough so that they can afford the housing, then you need to shut up about the people that are out on the street being homeless because of your practices. If you want to complain about the people who are homeless, then you need to shut up about the fact that there are low-income housing being put in so that people can afford to live in them while they work at your substandard piece of shit factories to produce your crappy materials. Personally, the way the things have gotten with you rich people always wanting the welfare for yourself, and yes, it is welfare. Those tax breaks you got is welfare. Those subsidies you get is welfare. It It's no different than a mother with 3 children without a husband because he's died or he left her. It's no different than the money she gets to raise those children to work in your crappy ass factories. It's no different. Except for the fact is that mother needs that money. You don't. If you're making more than what it would cost for you to live in a middle class home, you don't need no fucking tax break or subsidy. Because that's bullshit. You should be paying just the equal percentage of taxes as what your fucking workers are. You shouldn't get away with subsidies and tax breaks that end up with you paying zero in taxes or getting government money back. That's bullshit. If you can afford to drive a new car every fucking year, you don't need no fucking tax break like that. If you can afford to buy a fucking yacht, you don't need the tax breaks and subsidies. Those people in the factories are the ones doing the real work. You ain't doing shit. But walking around like you're some kind of a privileged asshole to be able to deny everybody else something. Fuck you. Stop your complaining about the homeless on the street and stop complaining about low-income housing being put into your neighborhoods and start paying your workers a fair fucking wage and paying your fair amount in taxes. Because until you do, the only thing us low-income people are going to see you rich people as is a bunch of assholes. Because we know when you're out there helping the homeless or helping the hungry, that you don't even put 1% of your income into that. And you get tax write-offs for it. So it's almost as if you didn't give them people nothing. You didn't help with nothing. The only thing you did was give yourself a tax write-off. Another way to pay less taxes than your fucking worker. You're on one hand handing out money to them as charity so that they can put food on their table, and on the other hand grabbing that money back while they work in your fucking factory. And that's bullshit. You could pay your fucking workers a fair wage, keep your products at the same price, and still give $1 million to some charity. And it wouldn't hurt you in any way, shape, or form. And you know it. But you're just too greedy. Too damn greedy. And I'm not just going on to the rich for their greed. I'm going on to you lower income people for your stupidity. Out there buying this name brand crap because you just have to have the name brand. No, you don't. You don't have to have the name brand. You know, if people out there can get away with counterfeiting these name brands and nobody know the difference, then excuse me. How good is that name brand really? If some lady can have a shop out there where she just irons on these name brand tags onto shirts and purses and shoes and pants and gets away with it for years and years and years, and nobody knows the difference in the quality of them, then how good really is those name brands? Whether I buy a pair of jeans from Gucci or a pair of $15 jeans from Levi, those jeans are going to wear out at the same rate. But the best pair of jeans I ever had lasted me 30 years and cost me $10. And I constantly wore them. But you've got to have that name brand. What the fuck? Part of your living cost as poor people, part of your living cost problem is that you do need that. You want that name brand. What you doing going out there and buying an Apple for? When an Android will work just as good. And in fact, I've had Androids that lasted me longer than what I've known of people who have had an Apple. But hey, you gotta have that name brand. And every time you buy it, you're telling that rich motherfucker out there who's paying you too little to manufacture that name brand piece of crap that it's okay if they pay you the minimal amount they can get away with for making that product. It's okay that you pay more taxes than that motherfucker that put you in that job. It's okay for him to charge you more than what that product is worth. Every time you buy that name brand, that's what you're telling him. It's okay if he gets subsidies to make him even more richer. It's okay if he gets welfare, but you shouldn't. It's okay if he can afford to have a nice big mansion, but you shouldn't even be able to afford a small apartment. That's what you're telling them. It's okay if they bitch about the homeless on the street that they put there. It's okay for them to bitch about having a home that you can afford being built. That they made it so that you had to have homes that were affordable built for you. That's okay. I can understand if the majority of the nation only had one single part-time job and they could not afford to pay rent, buy food, and take care of their transportation needs to and from work, and maybe have a little extra for once a year freaking vacation. But they could buy their food, buy the low-end priced products of clothes, be able to pay rent. If they can do that, can't do that on a part-time job, fine. But if they can't do that on a full-time job, that's not fine. That's not fine. And when I'm talking about a vacation, I'm not talking about taking your ass on a cruise. I'm not talking about buying a ticket to France. I'm talking about being able to take a week off from work once you get your paid vacation time. Taking and getting into a camper and going off and going camping somewhere. I'm talking about being able to save up enough to be able to take your kid to Disneyland. That's what I'm talking about. Especially if the amusement park is in the state you live. That's what I'm talking about. Not any kind of elaborate vacation. Just a week or two for some family fun. Nothing real expensive, you know? If a family can't afford that, when they're working at your factory, if they can't afford to pay the rent on their home, the utilities, to be able to put food on their table or buy clothes for their children from an actual store, then you're paying your workers far too little and charging for your products far too much. And you are part of the problem, not those out there busting their ass for you. And if you, as the person who can't afford to put food on your table, pay your bills or your rent, are out there looking for the name brand freaking bullcrap for your kids or yourself, then you're part of the problem. Because you're just condoning what these assholes are doing. You're making their charging that high cost acceptable. And that's on you.